Hello everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 7 of the holiday card series. Today I'm trying out some new watercolors from Altenew. This is their watercolor compact kind of pair of watercolor palettes. There's Deep Muse and Moody Brights. This is my very first time trying these out and kind of seeing what they're all about. They are mini palettes that have large pans of 6 colors inside. There's a spot for mixing colors off to the side, and it has a really nice feel to these palettes. They're nice and sturdy, and they actually have a button on the side to help you open it that releases it. I thought that was really nice. And I like that there are swatches on the top of each compact, so it's a little bit easier to see what you're grabbing. So I really loved the Moody Brights, but I was actually drawn to the Deep Muse colors. So I'm actually going to be using those today in my card. Before I actually get to the card making, I made some quick swatch charts of each of the compacts because I wanted to kind of see what the colors looked like in person. They are very close to the printed colors on the tops of each compact, but I wanted to have some actual references of the actual paints. So you can kind of see they're very, very similar, very close to what's on the front of each one. But I'm going to go ahead and only use the Deep Muse palette today. I thought those kind of muted colors are really pretty. So I'm using my Winter Greenery background stamp to do all of my painting today. And I'm stamping onto some Fabriano Artistico Extra White watercolor cardstock or watercolor paper. I'm stamping in Lisa Horton Solid Gold Pigment Ink. And then I'm going to be putting some gold embossing powder on top. I'm using Gilded embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. It's a nice gold shade. And I just think it's going to look very regal and sophisticated with these very muted colors for the holidays, plus this gold. I think it's going to be really, really pretty. So I hit that with my heat tool until all of the lines were melted. I tried to make sure I didn't heat it too much, because if you heat embossing powder too much on watercolor paper or any cardstock really, it will start to kind of absorb it back into the cardstock, and then you lose that raised line. So here's that Deep Muse palette. Once again, I'm just putting a little tape on the back so it doesn't move around while I'm working. And the first thing I did was added a bunch of water, and then I'm going to go right in and start painting. I'll speed up the video here and turn on some music, and then I'll catch you when the painting's done. After all the painting was done, I used some gold metallic paint from an Altenew palette to splatter on some gold details, added some white gel pen, and then, believe it or not, I cut my painting in half. And I thought I'd made a mistake until I realized that one of the halves was the perfect size to use the Capsule Basics dies from the Greetery, as well as the Capsule Filigree border dies. So I cut out the plain shape out of the watercolor paper with my project on it. And then I have this champagne foil from Anna Griffin that I've used the filigree border dies on, and I cut out that kind of oval shape. For the other half of my watercolor painting, I only have straight edges. It wasn't quite large enough to use that same oval die. So I'm improvising and making my own edge that's going to go on the side of this watercolor rectangle. So I took a break from that. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. Decided to do a little bit of embossing with Spellbinders Beveled Diamonds embossing folder and Concord and Ninth Rainforest cardstock. So now I'm back to adding on that filigree border, and I basically just cut off the curved edges of the oval, and I'm left with just the straight sides. And that's what I'm adhering to my rectangle, because this one wasn't quite wide enough to use that same oval die. So I'm going to piece these two together. It's going to be hardly noticeable on the final card. It's such a thin, dainty little border. So I put a line of glue along the edge and then added on two of those pieces. I did have to cut out the largest capsule filigree border die twice so that I would have the straight edges that were long enough that I could piece together. So after I had that piece, then I have my nice gold edges. I thought that was just so pretty, and you can hardly tell that I pieced it together. Then I took some glue and glued on the full oval die. This is the second largest filigree or capsule filigree border die, and it fits perfectly over the oval cut with the Capsule Basics die. So over at the Greetery, currently, as this video is going up, the Capsule Basics dies, I believe, are available. However, the Capsule Filigree border dies have been out of stock for a couple of weeks. I just saw on their Instagram that they are coming back to their warehouse. So hopefully in the next few days, maybe at the beginning of next week, these dies will be available again. So I took my Rainforest cardstock that I had embossed and I cut that to 5x5 and adhered that to a 5x7 card base. So then I took my rectangle piece and I put some foam adhesive on the back, and I'm adhering it kind of off to the left-hand side of the card. At this point, I still didn't quite know what I was going to be doing with this card. I had not figured out a greeting yet. But I did know that I wanted to have that same embossed texture on the card with the full oval piece as well. But I wanted it to be nice and white. So I just used some solar white cardstock, embossed that panel, and then adhered it to a card front. I also popped up the oval watercolor piece using foam adhesive. I then decided for the first card, the one with the rectangle watercolor piece, that I would use this greeting from my Winter Greenery stamp set. So I did the Winter Greenery background for all the watercolor, but there is an accompanying stamp set that has the same floral imagery, and there's also some greetings. So I stamped that greeting in Rainforest ink. I put it on a square of that same champagne foil cardstock from Anna Griffin, and then I cut my gift bows dies out of that same champagne foil cardstock. And then I adhered the little tiny, very narrow string to the right of the watercolor panel. And then I put some foam adhesive on the back of the greeting, and I'm going to have it overlap the watercolor panel just a little bit and it's kind of centered right on that string. And then I'm going to put the bow right on top and have the tails of the bow kind of hang over the edge of my greeting. This was my solution to, I wanted the greeting to be incorporated into the watercolor panel, but I didn't want it to overlap too much. I didn't want it to cover it up. So that's that card all finished. For the other card, I used another greeting from that same Winter Greenery stamp set. I stamped and heat embossed in gold on Rainforest cardstock and then adhered that directly onto that oval piece. And I think it looks perfect, just kind of running off to the edge of the oval die cut. I really love how these cards turned out. These took a long time to create. I would say going on 4 hours for both cards, even though I did have them share the same watercolor piece between the two of them. Just by cutting it down, I was able to stretch that to 2 cards. Thanks so much for watching today. This was day 7 of the Holiday Card Series. I'll be back on Monday with day 8, and I'll be creating it live here at YouTube. So come and join me on Monday evening at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I'll be creating live, and I have a kind of a simple card design in mind. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on Monday for the next day in the Holiday Card Series.